June the 16th, 2026. Guys, quick update on this tropical system. Looks like we're going to have Tropical Storm Arthur before too much longer. It crossed the Rio Grande overnight. It's sitting right here. You can see the dry side spinning here. The other side is touching very warm water in the Gulf of America, and it's starting to kick up some pretty good storms. It's been raining throughout this area. Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle, and that's going to continue probably throughout the week. Now, what we're seeing again is now a 60% chance of a tropical storm doing just what we were talking about, sitting right here, starting to move more directly east, getting back into the Gulf, and coming up into this area of Louisiana right here and into Mississippi. Now, there's a couple of different spaghetti models. We're going to take a look at that. Canadian model's got it a little further south than the Navy model, as usual, but we can get a good average from those two. But what we're looking at, and I saw some local reports from the Louisiana weather TV stations here, is you could see 10 to 15 inches of rain per hour. Some 5 inches, but any of that is extreme if you think about it. And in this section of Louisiana, guys, it's very low in most areas. You've seen the swamps and things like that. Well, it's low there, and you've got a lot of people that are susceptible to these floods. You're also looking at a storm surge of up to about 3 feet, 3 to 5 feet in the very center part of this. When you get onto the boundaries on the other side of New Orleans, things like that, guys, then you start to see that go down to about a 2-foot surge back from South Texas and over towards the Alabama coast and Mississippi coast. But so we're already getting these patterns setting up. And the main thing is this: the temperature of the Gulf of America is above normal. The temperature of the air is above normal. Now, this rain, again, I'm not going to complain about it. We are not in a low-lying area. Our little farm is about 340-something feet above sea level. But again, I'm not going to complain about the rain, but I do want you guys that are in the low areas to be very careful with this storm. This could be another major gully washer like we saw go up through the Carolinas. But guys, right now it's 71 degrees here. It is 10:25 a.m. And the real heat index, have to lean over to see that, is 64, 99% humidity. It started raining yesterday evening late and has been raining pretty much ever since. But compared to looking at the rest of the nation, guys, we still have to count our blessings. But that does not mean being foolish in the low-lying areas, okay? I already saw a tornado warning pop up this morning, and we're going to take a look at the weather warnings. But right now, here's our system, and it's supposed to come right up through this area here. You notice a lot of feed coming in, and you can see it curving back. And this is the steering, and what's happening is that El Nino pattern that's above this that we saw move from all the way from the Four Corners over in California into Arizona, New Mexico. All of that area has now moved to the east coast above this. It's kind of one of the last remnants of moisture. And we're going to look at how the high pressure is set up to move over the next few days. Again, I call this blue gold, and you'll see why. Now, switching this to true color for just a moment, you can see the rotation here and even the effect of that rotation in the circulation right here in the last few frames. See that? That's that second half starting to reach into some of the warmest waters on the planet. And look at the thunderstorms that are blowing through the top right there. This is going to be a little stronger, I'm afraid, than what was predicted. Originally, it was going to go into Mexico along the Rio Grande border. And usually, like I said yesterday, they dissipate as they move in. This one's completely different. It's trapped between a high-pressure zone, very warm Gulf, full of moisture. Now, let's look at how much water we got in the atmosphere, guys. This is water vapor loops, and you can see where the storm is here in Texas. But look at how much energy has been thrown down into Mexico off the bottom side of it. Look at that. And this is going to push out up into Mexico, and we were talking about the dry corridor yesterday, Guatemala, some of those places. Maybe some of this will get down there, but with this rotation pattern, it would be real nice to see it rotate back and get caught up in the system. Here's the very dry air line I was talking about. That's El Nino. Now, this is going to be around for a couple of days, but you can see where the moisture is isolated. We have a little along the Great Lakes. Here's Indiana, Illinois area here, a little bit there, a little coming down out of Canada. Not a lot, but anything is better than nothing. Now, here's the Great Salt Lake right there. Here's the Four Corners, and it's dry, guys, where they need it the most. Now, certain sections, I think around Vegas, got some rain. They said it was pretty good rain for a short period of time. I don't know how much of that made it to any type of river source or outlet because of the not only evap rate, but the absorption rate, guys, of a very dry soil. Now, this was updated 31 minutes ago. National Hurricane Center, part of the Miami Sky Tower Fox weather hurricane system. Anyway, the two most accurate models year after year, especially when you get down to the last day or so before impact of any area, is the purple model right here. That's the Navy model. We've talked about it for a dozen or more years. And the pale green model, which is the Canadian model. And they stay very tightly wrapped together. The difference I'm seeing is here, they're all coming offshore here. And coming into the Houston-Galveston area, the Canadian model shows what will be Tropical Storm Arthur staying just off the Galveston-Houston Bay area. But the Navy model in the purple line shows it coming ashore here, and that's going to put your northwest quadrant, or northeast quadrant, which is your strongest quadrant, right up into Houston and Galveston Bay. Again, they're looking at possible 3 to 5 foot storm surges, but that would increase if the storm pushes ashore right there. Now, you got to watch for, you saw how powerful the weather was and how tall the clouds were becoming. Don't try any offshore activity. It's not essential. Hunker down on the rigs, watch for water spouts, things like that. I've seen it happen too many times. I've got one video where we were down in Biloxi several years ago watching a hurricane that was coming very close. It ended up moving west towards Texas, but it threw a water spout right in on us, and it came across at Beauregard down there at the lighthouse in Biloxi, guys. It did some damage. I'll find that live video and get it up for you. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, again, these two models of the split is right here. The Navy model is right along the interstate moving across northern Louisiana here that goes from Vicksburg to Dallas. And then Canadian model coming right under it and then moving all the way across northern Mississippi into Alabama, north of Atlanta, and you can see it crossing the border of the Carolinas right here. Now, this will change slightly left or right over the next few days, but it will be one of the tighter patterns we see in any storm simply because of the compression of the high pressure above this and then that pressure coming from the Gulf of America that you noticed. So we got kind of a squeeze pattern here, and we've seen that throughout the spring. Guys, it's June 16th, and it is 71 degrees, 64 heat index. Unless you're being flooded out right now, you cannot complain. And we don't want to see any gardens flooded and big fields get destroyed like that are full of, crops from the great spring rains. We don't want to see that. But we got to count our blessings when we can. And the reason I say that is this model, and it has a lot to do with why I wanted to go ahead and get the video up earlier. Because, guys, this is a Navy model, and as it plays through, you're going to see the storm. It's moving kind of quick. You'll see it come off the coast of Texas, right there, come up into, again, the Houston area. That's a Navy model. But what happens after we lose that moisture? This is the moisture. Here's the high pressure. Check this out. It's gone. take advantage of the extra water while you can. Again, we've talked about water storage, water barrels. People are talking about filling up their swimming pools, which is a cheaper way to do it. It's a temporary thing, but sometimes temporary is way better than nothing. A few thousand gallons of water in a pool can make a big difference. You can always filter or boil it if you had to. But remember, boiling water leaves a lot of heavy metals that are concentrated in the water that's not evapped out as you boil it. And there's my Tina Bell coming in on cue. This morning's time for her treat again. Now backing out again and looking at the natural color satellite image, guys. Again, here is our dry area. Now again, I saw one video, I think it was current, of some rain in the Lake Mead or in the Vegas area there, guys. And again, let me know. I think it was a current video. You can see some clouds in here, not a lot. You can see that possibly in the Utah area you're getting a little bit, and then you've got this vortex dropping out of Canada, and it'll bring you some moisture along this line. You guys in Indiana, Illinois, watch out, because you've seen those very severe storms. But this dry air is going to absorb a lot of it before it gets too severe. But here's our moisture corridor for the next 4 or 5 days right through here, guys. So if you, again, right now you're getting good rain, but when the storm comes through here, it could get on top of some very moist ground. You could have runoffs. You could have, again, when you get into the hills in the Carolinas and Alabamas, or any hills, then the chance for flash flood becomes much higher. And we saw so much damage through the Carolinas a couple of years ago, guys. I hope we don't see anything even near that. And one thing about it, we got a fast moving front coming through here, and that should not allow it to stall for very long in one area. We'll just have to wait and see. But now you know what's coming, and you've got to be aware of it, be prepared for it, just hunker down. Try to, stay off the roads as much as you can, things like that. Keep an eye on everything, especially in the low-lying areas. Now, let's take a quick look down in Galveston, Texas, guys. You can see offshore where the storm's going to be coming from, back from this area. And according to the Navy, it could turn right up through this area. And we're looking at a possible 3 to 5 foot storm surge. And you can see right now the tide is out. And you've got a little bit of wind pressure behind it. This is not like the Atlantic. If you've never been down into the this section of the Gulf, guys, it's pretty shallow along most of the areas, and you can tell it here. But when the tide comes in, and if it comes in, that's going to be important on the timing. We'll be watching it here as far as when the storm gets close to the shore, and if the the Navy model is right, it starts to turn in here. If it does it during high tide, it's going to increase that flood threat of the 3 to 5 foot storm surge that's expected. Now, it's going to continue to go downhill. You're starting to see a lot less traffic along the Beach Avenue, but it's June. We're in hurricane season. And to be honest with you guys, this is the way Mother Nature cools the planet. Now, this one's been up about an hour. Again, we are at Tropical System number 1, or Tropical Cyclone 1, and it is no longer a percentage. It was 60 this morning when we first started checking this out. Now they know what's happening. It's starting to get 1 foot into the water, just like we were looking at that rotation offshore. Says maximum sustained winds 25 knots or 30 miles per hour. Minimal central pressure 1,007 millibars, and it is moving northeast at 5 knots or 6 miles an hour. That indicates a slow-moving storm. The slower it is, the more rain you're going to get in any given area. But it appears as it gets ashore, comes a little further north, it's going to be pulled into that faster moving front created by the El Nino system moving across our country. Now, guys, this is the location of the storm here, and these are the expected arrival times. By tonight at 8 p.m., the storm should be centered right here. You see that? By Wednesday at 2 a.m., tomorrow night after midnight, it's going to be very close to the Galveston area we were just looking at. And one model shows it coming in there, and that's going to really increase your tidal surge or your storm surge, depending on when the high tide is. By Wednesday morning, tomorrow at 8 a.m., it's going to be along the Sabine River here, the Louisiana-Texas border. See that? But offshore, if it stays offshore. So we'll see, again, some models have it turning a little closer and moving up through central Louisiana into northern Louisiana, right in here. But tomorrow morning, we will know, and things are going to be going downhill for this area. Guys, and I made a mistake here. This is the storm surge, guys. It's up to 2 to 4 feet, not 3 to 5. My bad on that. 1 to 3 from Matagorda in Texas up to Port Bolivar. And again, 1 to 3, they're showing up into Lake Sabine, Vermilion Bay, these areas. That's going to depend on, again, lower high tide. 2 to 4 feet, though, from there to Morgan City, 1 to 3 feet to the mouth of the Mississippi River. Now, you're going to see effects coming all the way up into Lake Pontchartrain, coming up into the islands, Cat Island, Ship Island, Petty Boy, Deer, all of the islands through there. You're going to see some of this increased storm surge. So if you're planning on going fishing out there, it's not a good day. I doubt the boats that come out of Gulfport going to Ship Island will even be running. But it's just the time, again, to hunker down. Now, this is the Tropical Cyclone Excessive Rainfall Outlook. It was created today, and this model runs through Friday, June the 19th, 7 a.m. that morning. And in this color here, peach or whatever it is, we're 40% chance of flash flooding. You get into the yellow, you're dropping back down to the 30%. You get into the green, you're getting down below 5%. So you can see where the concentration is here. It stops here because, again, they've predicted it out Friday. But, and this, again, is for the total days up until that point. So you're still going to have to see where this moisture's coming through the Carolinas and the mountains and hills there, guys. Don't forget what has happened there. Now, this is one of the Hurricane Center's experimental cone models, and they're giving you a little bit of time. Tuesday a.m. here, tropical depression, tropical storm by in the morning at 7 a.m., possibly before that. And then coming ashore somewhere along the Texas-Louisiana coast as a tropical storm, 7 p.m. Wednesday. By 7 a.m. Thursday morning, a tropical depression setting somewhere around the Natchez, Baton Rouge area or just north of it along the Mississippi River. You can see right there. Tropical storm watches are up in the yellow areas here. That will go to tropical storm warnings, which when they turn blue. But I just wanted to come in and touch base with you on this. It's a little stronger than we thought it was going to be, so don't take your eyes off of it. And do in any kind of situation you've got where you can store water, where it's a pond, a swimming pool, whatever, take advantage of this situation before that high pressure system moves all the way across and puts us in some very dry, hot weather. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.